Hello, everybody. Welcome to Veteran Uncensored. My name is Chris Rodriguez, your host of the show tonight. And welcome. It is 4:37 Central Time, USA. We got a good podcast today. We got a good episode. So please smash that like button. Follow on Rumble. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow the channel and help us reach as many people as we can possibly get. There's a brand new channel, brand new podcast, giving you a different perspective. I am a Hispanic conservative. I am a former U.S. Army soldier. And, listen, it's a different perspective. And if you're a veteran out there and you want to be a part of this show, you want to have your say, your opinion, then let me know and we can bring you in. I want to build a platform for veterans to have their uncensored opinion on what's going on in the country. Tonight, we got a good show for you. We're going to react to Karoline Leavitt as she shuts down claims by Democrats on CNN. We're going to react to Democratic Republican Senator Ilhan, not a Republican senator, sorry. We're going to react to Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar that says that America is becoming one of the worst countries in the world. Can you believe somebody would say that? Well, we're going to react to that. Of course, Fox News, it was reporting that Jill Biden was in charge of the country during the cover-up of Joe Biden and his decline. We're going to talk about that. We're going to react to that, of course. Also, Democrats push new anti-ICE propaganda. We're going to talk about that as well. I mean, give it up. Give it up. Give it up. It just doesn't make sense to keep talking about the same thing, to keep pushing, beating a dead horse, as they say. It makes no sense. People need to get deported. If they are here illegally, they've been told to leave. They are criminals. They are rapists. They're murderers. They definitely have to be, there has to be no questions asked. They need to be leaving. But if they've been told they've been here for 10 years, they've been here for 5 years, 2 years, and they've been told they have a letter of deportation, then they need to be going, plain and simple. Stop fighting it. It's illegal, man. It's illegal. Respect people that have asylums and that are going through the process. They still got a court date. You got to respect those people. But the illegals, the ones that have been told to leave, they got to go. Unless they're a part of that special group that are sober, moral, and prudent immigrants that are helpful for the U.S. economy, farmers, hotel leisure, and everything like that, that the president has specifically talked about. But if they're not doing anything productive for America, then they got to go. Plain and simple. John Fetterman, breaks apart from Democrats, and he says that this is an anarchy. We're going to talk about that, of course. And Angel Reese embarrassed herself again after crying victim, and then she ended up twerking on a video. So we're going to react to all of that. How can you say that you're sexually, not harassed, but you're sexualized on social media, but then you post a video of yourself twerking? Well, I mean, how does that make sense? Makes no sense whatsoever. Hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. This is Chris Rodriguez on Veteran Uncensored. Let's get right to it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not waste any time, though. Let's react to, what can we react to first? What do we got lined up here, ladies and gents? Let's react to this right here, shall we? Which is what's today. Karoline Leavitt shutting down claims by Democrats, and CNN called them that they're blatantly lying. So let's not waste any time. Let's react. Let's go right to it.
News alert. President Trump gathering his National Security Council at the White House today as he doubles down on his campaign promise, making the world a safer place after the epic takedown of Iran's major nuclear sites. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt joins us now. Karoline, I know the president seems very pleased by the results so far. What do we know about the effectiveness of the attack that's been relayed to you?
Mm-hmm. The president is pleased, the country is pleased, and frankly, Brian, the whole world should be pleased with the courageous action that President Trump and our United States military took on Saturday night. I want to thank, and the president wants to thank, the brave pilots who flew nearly 40 hours and more than 7,000 miles from the middle of America to the Middle East to conduct this highly successful and complex precision strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. This is an operation that presidents of the past have dreamed about, but no president had the guts to actually do it. But President Trump did, to take away this imminent threat, not just to the state of Israel, but to the United States and the rest of the world. So the country is a safer place today because of the president's bold action, and he has prevented a nuclear conflict. He has prevented a rogue radical regime from obtaining a nuclear bomb and threatening our people.
So I know the president's very decisive, but he also likes listening to all angles. And he's used to Democrats fighting against him. How much harder was the decision when you have people like Steve Bannon coming over for lunch saying don't do it, Marjorie Taylor Greene saying don't do it, and other voices like that? How did the president digest all that, knowing these people weren't necessarily against him, they're against pending action he more than likely was going to take?
One of the great things that makes President Trump a great leader is his ability to listen to people with different perspectives, but then ultimately make a decision based on his own instinct and the intelligence that he saw. And he saw, based on U.S. intelligence, that Iran is just weeks away from obtaining a nuclear weapon. And President Trump has been saying his entire life, not just as a presidential candidate or as president of the United States twice, but also as a private citizen, that Iran cannot obtain. To see a peaceful and prosperous Middle East. He talked about that extensively when we took that historic trip to Saudi Arabia. And he talked about how the Iranian terrorist regime was bringing down the rest of the region. And our Gulf partners and allies agree with that sentiment.
What's going on?
The president wants peace. Sometimes you have to use.
What's going on here? I don't know why the audio isn't. There you go.
Strength to achieve it, and he's not afraid to use strength. And as Saturday night proved, the United States has the best and most lethal fighting force in the history of the world, and we can use it if we must.
So the president tweeted out the next day, and I agree with you, by the way, and I think most everyone watching does, says it's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? Does he think we should do that? Is he asking the Iranian people to do that? What's he saying there?
The president believes the Iranian people can control their own destiny. And what he said last night makes complete sense. If the Iranian regime refuses to come to a peaceful diplomatic solution, which the president is still interested in engaging in, by the way, why shouldn't the Iranian people take away the power of this incredibly violent regime that has been suppressing them for decades? And so our posture has not changed. Our military posture has not changed. These were decisive precision strikes that were successful on Saturday evening. But the president is just simply raising a good question that many people around the world are asking.
So let's go to the border, if we can, and how that relates to the reprisals that Iran promises. One of the things they said was, you know, Donald Trump, gambler Donald Trump can start a war, we'll finish it. Well, could it be through a sleeper cell here? Well, they certainly have the numbers. It turns out over the last 4 years, there's been over 1,500 Iranians coming through our southern border.
Not good.
729 qualified for release. Your reactions to the American people concerned about a possible sleeper cell reprisal here?
President Trump has no greater responsibility than protecting the homeland. And look at what he has done over the past several months to do that. He has done more than any president in American history to secure our border, and the largest mass deportation operation of illegal criminals, many of them known terrorists that Joe Biden led into this country, are being removed every day. I spoke to our Secretary of Homeland Security this morning. She held a call with governors across the country, and the Department of Homeland Security is actively engaged with our state and local law enforcement partners to protect the American people. That is the president's number one priority in all of this, and that's ultimately what led him to make the decision to launch this strike on Saturday night, to protect our homeland from threats abroad, and we will continue to protect our homeland from threats here at home.
Karoline, but no specific threat yet in any city or any state or any building?
Not that I'm tracking, Brian, but I can assure you the Department of Homeland Security is monitoring this situation very closely.
So as this operation takes place, Democrats said they were not told about it. They were left in the dark, and they said usually there's bipartisan calls for this. and they didn't know about it. Here is Republican Thomas Massie.
We haven't been briefed. They should have called us all back. And frankly, we should have debated this war powers resolution.
Debated.
Kana and I offered, instead of staying on vacation and doing fundraisers and saying, oh, well, the president's got this under control. We're going to cede our constitutional authority.
Called everybody back.
First of all, we did make bipartisan calls. Thomas Massie and the Democrats, he should be a Democrat because he's more aligned with them than with the Republican Party. We're given notice. The White House made calls to congressional leadership. They were bipartisan calls. In fact, Hakeem Jeffries couldn't be reached. We tried him before the strike and he didn't pick up the phone, but he was briefed after, as well as Chuck Schumer was briefed prior to the strike. So this notion that CNN ran with at the White House did not give a heads up to Democrats is just completely false. In fact, both Senator Schumer's office and CNN had to retract that story last night because it was a blatant lie. And we showed them the timestamps from those phone calls. But I want to add something to Thomas Massie's false point. The White House was not obligated to call anyone because the president was acting within his legal authority under Article 2 of the Constitution as commander-in-chief of the President of the United States. We gave these calls as a courtesy, and the Democrats are lying about this because they can't talk about the truth of the success of that operation and the success of our United States military and the success of this president and this administration in doing something that past administrations, Democrats too, have only dreamed about.
Yeah, but
boy, you cat that was spicy right there from Karoline. She is awesome. She's right to it. No nonsense. And let me tell you something. It is a blatant lie. I mean, look, Biden, Obama did the same thing. They striked. They sent strikes all over the world. Nobody said anything. Nobody asked for a congressional permission. And this other guy, who was so-called a Republican, wants to have a huddle to speak on, to have a debate. He said it makes absolutely zero sense to talk about this. This is supposed to be a strategy, a strategic move that we're supposed to attack. We're supposed to eliminate a threat. And you want to have a congressional debate, whether we should do it or not. When I was deployed in South Korea, and I said this story many times, and I thought that Trump was going to send us to war because I was believing the nonsense, the narrative, the propaganda. And when he got there, he had a good conversation with Kim Jong-un, and it was all propaganda. We weren't going to go to war because Trump doesn't like going to war. It's plain and simple. And this is not war. People on social media, on X, I mean, I should have bookmarked it. You know, the propaganda they're spreading. It's crazy to conceive how people are so anti-U.S. Imagine, I said this on a post on X. By the way, you can follow me at U.S. Vet Uncensored, U.S. Vet Uncensored, and on TikTok, Veteran Uncensored as well. I said it on there that this is the greatest country on earth, that it allows people that are not from here to wave another country's flags, to burn our own flag, to kneel while the national anthem is being played, to protect and speak on behalf of terrorist regimes, and nothing happened to them, right? If they did what they're doing in Iran, for example, just to not go anywhere else, they would be obliterated from earth. They would be hung, they would be killed, annihilated, and people just seem to forget what this country is all about, right? And President Trump, he is the commander-in-chief. When I was to finish my story in South, when I was in South Korea, everybody knew whatever Trump says, we got to do. He's our commander-in-chief, whether you agree or not. We have to execute the mission to the best of our abilities. So, I don't understand this whole Congress. Sure, we're not declaring war with anybody. This is not war. This was a simple mission. I proudly now, I've been living obviously all my life, but I proudly say that I live in Missouri, where these wonderful jets came out of. They went and came back, 1-day delivery, and they delivered those bombs. And I am so proud to have been a former U.S. soldier, and proud of those pilots because they did an amazing job. And thank you to President Trump, because he made it happen. And because of him, we are in a better, safer place. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, we're going to have to react to Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar, that she says America is becoming one of the worst countries in the world. Can you believe what she said? She's from Somalia. If this is what she truly believes, then she needs to go back to Somalia and see how well it goes for her, right? Let's not waste any time, shall we? Let's react right to what this person had to say, and this was on X as well. So let's react to it.
To be coming out of our country. I mean, I grew up in a dictatorship. And I don't even remember ever witnessing anything like that. To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world.
Well, I got to stop it. I got to stop it, man. She says she's never seen anything like this. In Somalia. By the way, in the 90s, they killed a lot of our soldiers as well. So I have no sympathy for those terrorists either. I'm not talking about the general people, the general population of Somalia, or even Iran. I'm talking about the terrorist regime. Those terrorists should be annihilated from the face of the earth. But what is she talking about?
World to now be turned into one of the worst countries where the military are in our streets without any regard for people's constitutional rights, while our president is spending millions of dollars propping himself up like a failed dictator with a military parade. It is really shocking, and it should be a wake-up call for all Americans to say this is not the country we were born in. This is not the country we believe in. This is not the country our founding fathers imagined. And this is not the country that is supported by our Constitution, our ideals, our values. And we should all collectively be out in the streets rejecting what is taking place this week.
My goodness. Can you believe this? Can you believe a person, and this is supposed to be a representative, by the way, it's supposed to represent whatever state she's from. What state is she from? Minnesota? My goodness. And she has the audacity to speak like this about this country that gave her an opportunity to be free, to live. She comes from Somalia, where they don't even have the right to have food, some of them. Where there's sexual and gender-based violence, where there's freedom of they have zero freedom of expression, where even people with disabilities have issues with their rights. Are you kidding me? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? You know, there's one thing, you can disagree on certain things, right? And express your disagreement, but don't be so deluded, because what she's speaking of, nobody can relate to that. Nobody. I will handpick anybody that's sober, moral, and prudent from Somalia right now, not a terrorist. I will point them out and ask them a question randomly. Would you like to come? Where would you rather be right now? Would you rather live in the U.S. or would you rather be in Somalia, where you're at right now? I guarantee you 100% of them will say, please, I'm begging you, take me to America. And this lady here has the audacity to speak ill on the country that has given her the opportunity to be representative in this country. Great salary. She can be free. She can say everything whatever she wants, even the nonsense she's saying right now. She's allowed to say it, right? Imagine her saying this about the Somalian government in Somalia. She wouldn't exist by tomorrow. I came from Peru. I was born in Peru. I came here legally at 14 years of age. By the age 24, I became a legal citizen. At 23, I became a U.S. citizen. At 24, the next year, not even next year, a couple months later, I enlisted in the military, because that was my dream, to be in the military of the greatest powerhouse and country in the world. Because I knew I couldn't be in a better place. A better place than the United States of America is heaven. And we're not there yet. There's not another place better than the United States of America. And sometimes we need to put that in perspective. I understand you might disagree. This lady might disagree with what Trump is doing on his methods. But to say, and you know, it was plain and simple. This is exactly what she said, and I'll go up to it. She says that America is becoming one of the worst countries in the world. Are you serious? If anybody says anything like this, then we're not really speaking on you know, on common sense terms. And if that's the case, then we can't have a conversation. So let me know what you think about this lady in discussion here. But I mean, come on, it's the same as Goldberg comparing, saying that black people live worse or live the same thing that Iranian people live in their day-to-day lives in Iran. The black people here are the same as Iranian people. They go through the same struggles in life. Like, what are we talking about? Is this real? You know, when people say stuff like that, there's no point to keep talking about it. It's over. The debate is over. So let's react to the Biden cover-up. There's more on that. And Fox News had a conversation. And not only a conversation, they actually went around as senators go off and react on the Biden cover-up. That's something that this Somalian representative we were speaking of just a minute ago I've never seen her speaking on this. I've never seen any Democrat speak on this issue. Joe Biden was ill, and there was a cover-up. The only Democrats speaking about it is the ones trying to make a profit now, speaking of it after the fact. So let's go to Fox News as they're asking, was Jill Biden in charge? Well, let's not waste any time. Let's react to it.
All right, Republicans tore into Democrats for boycotting that U.S. Senate hearing yesterday on former President Biden's cognitive decline and the alleged cover-up. Senator, you were in the room. Let's first take a look at this.
Not a single Democrat is here today because not a single one of them gives a damn about the fact that they lied to the American people for 4 years.
We need to know who was in charge during the last months of the Biden administration. Was it his wife, his chief of staff, nameless others?
Did Joe Biden actually assent to the use of the auto pen and all? You think of all the people he pardoned, he granted clemency to, murderers, drug dealers, child rapists.
Yeah.
Let's find out. Did he actually authorize it?
This de facto boycott is not just a refusal to participate. It's a refusal to serve the American people who deserve answers about who is truly leading their government.
Former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer was a witness at that hearing, and he wrote this opinion piece titled, "I was Trump's press secretary. Any White House official worth their salt would see Biden's decline." Okay, so you started the day, I think Senator Durbin was there. Welch actually stuck around for a little while. Talk to me about this absence and what you think it means.
Yeah, so I actually co-chaired the committee. I'm the chairman of the subcommittee on the Constitution and the Judiciary Committee. So we called the hearing along with the Senator Cornyn. And the Democrats refused to call any witnesses. Interestingly, that's very unusual. It's sort of an acknowledgement that this was not terrain, I suppose, they wanted to have a debate on. And then there were no Democrats on that side of the dais at all after Senator Durbin gave a brief remarks and Peter Welch. So it's very bizarre, but I think it's very telling that they wanted to ignore that hearing, much like they wanted to ignore Biden's mental decline. And we have to remember, Harris, it wasn't just that they were ignoring it at the time. They actually wanted him to serve another 4 years.
That's right.
They wanted him to be, again, sort of a puppet to these left-wing radicals that were running the White House, that opened up our borders, that had all this crazy inflation, that had a wandering foreign policy. He wasn't in charge. Everybody could see it with their own eyes. And so they wanted him to have another 4 years until, of course, the debate. They couldn't run from it anymore. Then they installed Kamala Harris, and we know what happened after that. President Trump won, thank God. But it's just, we can't let this happen again. The American people, I can't tell you, Harris, you spent some time in Missouri. How many Missourians have come up to me over the last few years and said, who was actually running the country?
Yes.
Like, it's a reasonable question. And that is kind of important in our constitutional order because it's the only person that's elected by the entire country. And when that person signs a treaty or a law or a pardon or a commutation, like, that carries the weight of the American people. That's how we've set up our government. So when you have someone who gets lost going to the bathroom or can't string sentences together, it's a real problem, and it can't ever happen again.
Yeah, and I understand why the president is focused on the auto pen, just from the way that you laid it out. By the way, Missouri, the show me state, they want to see the facts. Great to see you.
That's right. They want to see the facts. Ladies and gentlemen, shout out to the great state of Missouri, where I reside, I shall say myself. And I'm happy to be a Missourian, of course. But I'm a country boy. I'm a Hispanic country boy. It's kind of a weird mix, isn't it? My accent is like, it could be Hispanic, country. It's all over the place. But look at that. Sleepy Joe Biden. I mean, come on, man. It was a cover up. There's no ways to go around it. It was a cover up. And listen, one thing doesn't mean, just because he's not going to be a president anymore, just because he's done, doesn't mean that you need to stop investigating. This was a cover-up of the magnitudes that I have never. I'm only 31, but I've never seen or heard of anything like this. I like history a lot, and I've talked about. I haven't talked about, but I've studied. Sorry, and gather information about the Watergate, and that was scandalous. But this is very, very. It's historical. It's scandalous. It was kind of it's still in the same level as probably the cover up with the Watergate. I understand you can correlate it, but nobody talks about it as that. The Bill Clinton is the one I wanted to bring up. The Bill Clinton scandal was pretty big, and the Democrats never bring it up anymore. They didn't talk about it as much at the time. They did, but then they went away. But about the Biden cover-up, nobody talks about it anymore, other than the conservative media. Everybody else is pretty much quiet on this situation, and I think there needs to be an investigation. Who signed those pardons? Who signed everything that the auto pen and all that stuff? We need to investigate this situation. It can't just be left and say, "Oh well, he's not president anymore." It's no big deal. He was running for president, and they weren't going to bring this all up. Jake Tapper wasn't going to write a book about Biden if Biden was a president. If he turned out to beat Donald Trump, which was pretty much impossible. I mean, I'm kind of a lost of words there. It's pretty much impossible for him to be able to do that. But still, there was a possibility that could have happened. And where would we be at today if Biden was president like this with cancer? And sorry that he has cancer, but he knew as well what was happening, and he let it go. But most importantly, his wife and everybody else under him, his son, and everybody there, they just wanted power. That's all they wanted. And it's sad and it's unfortunate that this happened in American history, but it happened, and we need to investigate what actually happened and make it public for the people, for the American folks. They have to know what happened. Plain and simple. We can't sweep it under the rug. We cannot do that whatsoever. It looks like Democrats are pushing a new anti-ICE propaganda, though, according to Jesse Waters on Fox News. Let's react to this.
Southern border's a ghost town. Every bad hombre in the third world knows we're not spread eagle anymore. They love Joe, and his borders are Kamala. She was never really interested in building a wall. She just wanted to find root causes.
We want to work with you to address both the acute causes as well as the root causes. We are focused on addressing both the acute factors and the root causes. Not only the root causes, but the acute causes. To look at the root causes and the acute causes. My trip to Guatemala and Mexico was about addressing the root causes. Addressing the root causes of irregular migration. For the past 3 years, I have led our administration's efforts to address the root causes of migration.
And we're learning now that she did what Joe did and tried to pass that work off onto someone else. Using USAID, they wrote up a contract worth up to $800 million. Consultants to find the root causes for them. But here's the problem. Walter Barnes III, the man who founded one of these companies that got the cash, was a known con man. He just pled guilty to a decade-long USAID bribery scheme. And the government knew he was shady for years, even before they gave him all the money. In 2023, the USAID Inspector General said Barnes lacked honesty and integrity. But on the same day, he was awarded an $800 million contract. They had good reason to be suspicious. Over the years, Barnes secured big money deals by bribing USAID employee with pricey basketball suites, a trip to the vineyard, and even a down payment on a house. Isn't that nice? And once he got paid, Barnes burned through pallets of cash, doing everything but what we paid him to do. We reached out to Walter, never got back to us. Trump came to office and solved the problem with 2 words: Tom Homan. The new border czar said only 95 migrants were found at the border yesterday.
Wow.
That is the lowest daily total ever recorded. And he's doing it for a lot less than $1 billion. But there's still a lot of cleaning up that needs to be done. Tren de Agua gang members have moved back to terrorizing a Colorado apartment complex. While Homan's working hard to give every last bad hombre the boot, Democrats want to give them all lawyers.
They don't have the attention. They don't have the lawyers. And that's why the state of New York is providing $50 million
Wow.
to cover legal services for people who are finding themselves in this situation.
Unbelievable.
So if the checks don't clear, Democrats are already lining up to give illegals house calls.
Because you're not allowed to be here. Sir, are you an officer with the BI International? I am an officer with ICE. You're an officer with ICE? Do you have a badge? Do you have an ID? Can you see it? I don't have to show that to you. You don't have to show that. I'm telling you to leave. I've already identified myself. I'm an officer with ICE. Can you show me a badge or an ID? You are not allowed to be here. Police are coming. Okay?
Police are coming, and they're police.
Democrats don't want to break illegals out because they care about them. They just want more people to milk their cows.
We're going to find that milk gets a lot higher, because I don't know if any of you have ever been in a dairy farm. It is god-awful work. We're going to see that groceries and vegetables are higher. We're going to see an effect in our economy, because whether people like it or not, whether Americans acknowledge it or not, undocumented immigrants are an integral part of our society and our economy.
They don't just want the cheap labor. Progressives are straight up lying about who's getting the boot from ICE and creating some really deranged propaganda. Watch.
I had a really good time today.
Yeah, me too. I really look.
What are you doing?
She's coming with us.
Where are you?
I'm your Republican congressman. Now that we're in, we're rounding up illegals.
She was born here. She's a citizen.
I don't care. She looks like one of them. But don't worry. When she's in prison in El Salvador, she'll have lots of company.
Outnumbered co-host and former White House press secretary. Kayleigh McEnany. So, Kayleigh, the Democrats are running that ad that says ICE is gonna abduct your Spanish girlfriend and take advantage of her in a mega prison. Sorry.
I mean, no, it is worth the laugh. This is what they're coming up with. I mean, look at this. Look at this. What about the 2024 election said this is what's going to win the day? These Democrats, and I don't like throwing around words, they are so dense. The polling shows immigration is Donald Trump's top issue. He has majority support. I mean, you talked about that 95 number, 95 illegal immigrants coming in one day to the southern border. It's 2,000 miles long. Bill Melugin said that's the most jaw-dropping statistic he has ever heard. It is the lowest number ever to come to the southern border. And the American people say, we support this. And what do Democrats do? They're going to abduct your, Spanish-speaking girlfriend and take her to prison in El Salvador. But oh, wait, at least she'll have senators coming down to have margaritas with her boyfriend, because you'll have a bunch of Dem senators lining up.
I bet a bunch of guys that are dating illegal alien Spanish girls are like, ICE, here's the address. She hasn't been very good. It's. Let me ask you about this Iranian situation. The president.
Look, that's another subject here, but we're gonna talk about that one. It's scandalous. It's funny. It is hilarious what the left wing propaganda. And one thing that you got to give to them is that they're very consistent and they're very resilient. They will keep coming at it with the same narrative, no matter how stupid really, no matter how stupid they look or sound. They're going to continue. I'm a Hispanic man. My wife is a Mexican-American woman, actually. And I don't want Tren de Aragua. I don't care. You know who is affected the most with an immediate timing of these gangs coming to America. You know, where do they go to? Do you think they go to your regular white neighborhood? No. Well, I mean, we live in the country, so we actually live surrounding white people, to be fair. But, you know, it is what it is. We love it in the country, and it's our way of living. But most Hispanics don't want to. They don't like living in the country. They will go to the big populated cities. Where does Tren de Aragua, where does MS-13, where do all those gangs go to? Do you think they go to Wyoming, somewhere to live the ranching life? No. They go to where Hispanics are at. They go where the Latino population is at to blend with them, to be a part of them because they speak their language, because they, to some extent, although a lot of Hispanics are different from different cultures, but at the end of the day, they can coexist and, you know, live a regular life until they got to do their criminal activities, of course, because they can't get away from that. No matter if they did it, if they moved to a different country, that's never going to change. They're still criminals at heart. Their souls are contaminated by this, so they're going to still rape women. They're going to still sell and do drugs. They're going to still murder people. They're going to still live by their illegal code of the gang codes, and they're still going to do all of that nonsense that they did in their countries. That's never going to change. So the greatest thing that President Trump did for Americans and Hispanics is announce and say that these groups are terrorist groups. So no due diligence, get them the heck out. There's no going to court, none of that. They're terrorists. They're killing, raping women. And look at this. This was really a day ago, 4 days ago, where this report came out. Tren de Aragua is still terrorizing people. They did it just now in Colorado. So we still got to get rid of these people. We still got a lot of work to do. We got to get rid of these criminals. They are migrants. They're immigrants, but they are criminals. They have. I'm an immigrant myself. I came from Peru again at 14 years of age, legally became a U.S. citizen, became a soldier. That is the American dream. And I'm not just speaking of myself. There's many ways to live the American dream. But coming here illegally to do more crime on top of crime, what the heck is that? No excuses. Get them the heck out. There's no negotiation whatsoever with these lunatics. And I don't want to hear anybody in the Hispanic community backing these idiots. They are nasty. They're irrelevant. They should never be breathing the same air as any law-abiding citizen does. Plain and simple. We already have lunatics, criminals, rapists, murderers in this country, whether they're white, black, Hispanic-born Americans, Asian-born Americans, whoever they may be. We already got those people here. We don't want more to the list. That makes no sense. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Smash that like button, by the way. We got a few segments to do right now. John Fetterman breaks with Democrats and calls them, this is an anarchy. We're going to take a look about what he had to say, of course. Let's go.
Division among the Democrats. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman condemning the violent anti-ICE protests in L.A., posting on X, quote, "I unapologetically stand for free speech, peaceful demonstrations, and immigration, but this is not that. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, and assaulting law enforcement."
But House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries trying to pass blame onto the Republicans.
The Department of Homeland Security, under the leadership of the so-called Secretary Kristi Noem, is a complete and total embarrassment. And so anything that they put out should be scrutinized through that lens.
Nonetheless, is that something that you would agree with?
I've made my statement on this issue.
Here to react, Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Joe, your number one job as an elected official is public safety. That's it. Every other issue is a far distant second. So why can't all Democrats, especially their so-called leader, Hakeem Jeffries, say what Fetterman said right there?
John Fetterman, again, being the voice of reason in the Democratic Party, Todd. And he'll probably have some hit pieces now written about his health, I would imagine, as a result, because the Democrats are not very happy with Mr. Fetterman right now. Look, I'm glad that Hakeem Jeffries was asked that question. What these protests, these fiery but mostly peaceful riots are about, and this is getting lost here a little bit in all the media coverage, is the Trump administration attempting to deport those here illegally, very key to mention that, here illegally, who have committed murder, including of children, of rapists, of child molesters. I mean, this is an effort that almost all sane and sober Americans support, yet Democrats are imploring their fringe supporters to resist. They won't condemn the violence, the attacks on law enforcement, only President Trump and ICE. Meanwhile, the media, Dana Bash on CNN saying these aren't, quote, real riots, unquote. Well, look at your television screens over the last 5 days. Chris Murphy, senator of Connecticut, goes on MSNBC and is telling people to take to the streets in other cities. Therefore, more riots across the country. 2020 all over again. Kamala Harris saying that it has been overwhelmingly peaceful in Los Angeles. My goodness gracious. If you live in California, why would you ever stay in that state, given the way that it is run because Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass are in charge? We are witnessing political suicide of the Democratic Party, to John Fetterman's point, in real time. They have lost the moral higher ground, and they can't lecture about enforcing the law and the laws in the books ever again if they are not condemning this the way they should.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, you said it. It's remarkable how similar what's taking place right now is to 5 years ago. I mean, if you played footage of last night's riot and asked somebody who didn't know when that took place, they would have said that was the Black Lives Matter riot of 2020. And during that time, Democrats continued to say that they were mostly peaceful protests. And here we go again.
Oh, boy. Here we go
to
again.
imagine that this time the National Guard were sent out to attack protesters that were exercising their constitutional obligation.
We don't take lightly to the president abusing his authority and unlawfully mobilizing California National Guard troops.
They're not criminals, and that is the outrage that you're seeing. And I think that if ICE left, I think if the National Guard left, you would see this all die down.
And we just lived through the...
Hold on. Are we... What? How does that make sense? She says that, and this is not working. She just comes out of her mouth. It doesn't go to the filter of the brain, processes it, and then says, no, I can't say that. I'm just going to... She just said if the National Guard left and policemen left, then they wouldn't commit crimes. They wouldn't burn... places and buildings and Apple stores and they wouldn't riot and loot stores. What? If I see a National Guardsman standing right there, I'll just walk right past him and go to do what I need to do. Why do I look at a guardsman? Why do I look at a military member or a police officer and automatically say, oh my God, I'm going to lose my mind and commit crimes and loot and riot and burn the flag? Are we really that stupid? I just don't get that.
Ramifications of those remarks 5 years ago with the results of the 2024 presidential elections. So has the party learned any lessons?
So much respect for the police.
Obviously not. I mean, I can't believe these sound bites that you guys are playing where Seattle, for example, because the mayor there in 2020, the one that said it was the summer of love, when you had far left rioters took over major blocks of a major NFL city in this country, including the police station. Portland police were under siege for months by so-called protesters, literally launching firebombs at the police station. If the National Guard was called in then, that would have quelled those situations a lot faster. So President Trump, learning from that, saying, all right, I'm not waiting for a governor or mayor to tell me what I have to do here. I'm going to do, to Todd's original point, I'm going to do what I can to protect American citizens and put violent criminals out of this country who entered illegally. Again, this is absolute Thelma and Louise off the cliff suicide here that we are seeing from the Democratic Party and those in the media who are cheering it on, because the pictures tell the story just like they did with Joe Biden in 2024 when we were told that he really wasn't seeing his brain turn to applesauce, and they kept calling it cheap fake videos. These are not cheap fake. That is an assault on law enforcement, and when you see rocks and concrete blocks being dropped on their cars, someone's going to get killed. Unless something is done, President Trump is trying to do that.
And to that point, I just want to be very clear. to contradict something that the California Attorney General Rob Bonta said. He said this is an illegal use of the National Guard. That is incorrect. The most far left legal professor, he now runs a law school, Dean Erwin Chemerinsky, said that President Trump's use of that code section in the United States Code to call out the National Guard when the governor fails to do so is completely legal and viable.
It sure is illegal and he is the commander-in-chief, by the way. You know, this notion that he can't do it. Yes, he can. He can. I'm in the military. My wife was a National Guardsman. She just retired not too long ago, or didn't retire legally, but fulfill her contract. And they can be activated by the president. Just because nobody did it before or in a long time doesn't mean that it's not legal to do so. You know, but people, again, they just want to live in their narratives and their propaganda. And, you know, so listen, if you riot, if you loot and you destroy businesses and buildings, you better go to prison. And by the way, do they really think that this helps immigrants? There's not a single the amount of illegal immigrants that are actually rioting is like this big. These are legal citizens that might be descendants of any Hispanic culture, whether it's Mexican, Peruvian, Honduran, whatever, and they feel like they have the authority just because they're citizens to do whatever they want, and they can't get deported, but they can't go to jail. And they certainly are. And if you're throwing rocks at moving vehicles, if you're looting and rioting, you're going to go in there for a long time. And I'm glad that Homan is the man in charge, and I'm glad that they are there to defend the country. Listen, if you're illegal, you got to go, man. Plain and simple. You got to go. Anyways, last but not least, we got our last segment. I appreciate everybody watching. Thank you, everybody. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Help us out. And we got one more segment, don't we? Underdog is telling me we got a segment. This is our Underdog is a producer. And you were messing up with the audio, though, earlier on. So stop playing with me. Angel Reese, a basketball player, she embarrassed herself again after crying victim. And this is a video from the Officer Tatum. So, you know, good channel. Big channel. Good stuff. And Angel Reese annoys me. I like Karoline Clark. She's a really good basketball player. And listen, no race. This is not a racial thing for me, right? Because I'm Hispanic. I don't, but I will go with Karoline Clark because she's actually good at basketball, and she's been abused and she's been bullied in this league by players that are not good, and they just feel like they gotta hit her every time. But there's a new girl now in town, Sophie Cunningham, I think, that you better not mess with Karoline Clark because you're gonna get the enforcer, Sophie Cunningham. But regardless, Angel Reese crying in that she's playing victim. And then she ended up twerking on a video. Let's take a look real quick. What's happening?
I've been attacked so many times. Death threats. I've been sexualized.
Meanwhile,
Big mama.
Big mama. That big mama for real.
Oh my goodness.
Threats. I've been sexualized. She's been celebrated, bro. They won a national championship. They kissing her ashy elbows everywhere she go.
Officer Tatum, he's a massive, good YouTube channel. Let's go.
I just want to finish the weekend with icing on the cake. Not only when Angel Reese says this, but when other women say this, consider the source. Women often complain about the whole gym thing. What? Do you want us to put full clothes on when we go to the gym? Yeah, some of y'all looking super unprofessional, bro.
Weird.
You got the booty stitch that go right up your booty crack. Nobody, like you got no time. You literally got a bra on and booty shorts on with your booty cheek hanging out the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, don't you feel uncomfortable with your booty out and all these men in here at the gym, and then had the audacity to get mad at a man for looking at it? What are you doing, girl? You can see everything. You do a squat, you pretty much X-rated. Stop doing that. Why can't women take accountability for being modest? Then you ain't got to come in there with scrubs on, but like, can you at least put regular clothes on?
No doubt.
That's what I would say. Do what you want, but don't get mad when people looking at you. Don't get mad when people sexualize you.
No doubt.
And it's exactly the point that I'm making when it comes to Angel Reese. Listen to what she said and then watch what she ended up doing. And you showed me a video of Karoline Clark doing it, and I'll quit my show.
Let's go.
I don't really get to stand up for myself.
No.
I mean, I have great teammates. I have a great support system. I got my hometown. I got my family that stands up for me. I don't really get to speak out on things just because I just try to ignore, and I just try to stand strong. Like, I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times. Death threats. I've been sexualized. I've been threatened. I've been so many things, and I've stood strong every single time. And I just try to stand strong for my teammates because I don't want them to see me down and like not be there for them. So I just want them to always just know, like, I'm still a human. Like, all this has happened since I won the national championship, and I said the other day I haven't had peace since then. And it sucks, but I still wouldn't change. I wouldn't change anything, and I would still sit here
I
and
can't
say,
listen
like,
to it no more.
No, I mean neither. And you know she wouldn't change it for anything because she'll be home in the hood broke. Come on, man. What was she?
Booty shaking in a minute. I said this yesterday in part. It's just, the disingenuous nature of the average human being is just beyond me.
It's crazy.
Angel Reese is literally making up a whole scenario that don't exist. I've been death threats. I've been sexualized. She's been celebrated, bruh. They won a national championship. They kissing her ashy elbows everywhere she go. She's celebrated in the WNBA even though she ain't even close to Caitlin Clark. They not even close. I heard some stat that Caitlin Clark had some record that she broke in 46 games, and the girl that's behind her played 400 games. She did it in a tenth of the game. Oh, not a tenth of the games.
But the thing is, listen, you don't have to be as good as Caitlin Clark, but I tell you what, you got to stop race baiting, and a lot of people do that as well surrounding her. The league, a lot of basketballers, women in the basketball women league, they try to go against their bully Caitlin Clark, and then Angel Reese race baiting, saying that they're doing monkey sounds in the stands. Like, stop talking about race, man. It ain't true. It ain't true. Nobody's gonna allow that. And the fact of the matter is that a racist will go to a basketball game and be racist on the stands. Like, what the heck? It makes no sense. And if there is, there needs to be proof that that's what's happening. But they're battering me. They're being racist to me. They're sexualizing. But watch what she does next.
To get sympathy and I don't want to be sexualized. Exhibit A. Roll it.
Big mama. Big mama. That big mama for real. It's so proportional, like.
Oh my God.
She's about 200. It don't even look like it.
That's what I'm talking.
Yeah.
Send it to me. Now let me see your booty.
Come on, man. Hey, come on, man. It's over. It is over. Shout out to Officer Tatum for that video. And listen, come on, man. Stop crying wolf, or stop contributing to it, and and show us proof that the people are being racist to you. Or it might just be that you suck as a basketball player. I haven't seen one good highlight of Angel Reese. They won a championship. I don't know how. But Caitlin Clark, she about to win 10 in a row, especially with the new Sophie Cunningham that they have. Last but not least, we're just going to finish up with a funny video of Alex Padilla, Senator Padilla, crying once again in the Senate, talking about a bunch of other stuff that makes no sense. It lies. He shouldn't have been charging at another politician, another official, basically charging at them without identifying himself. And of course, security arrested him, police arrested him. They didn't arrest him. They just basically took him down for a second until he was able to identify himself. But he won the show, and there's another Democrat that did the same thing over the weekend. But Padilla, stop crying, bro. Stop crying for no reason. If you want to be a strong model for the Hispanic community, then be strong. Stop crying for no reason. Stop crying for no reason, man. And Vince called him Jose. Well, look, I've been called Jose many times. My name is Chris, though, but yeah. Alex, come on, man. And this is a video of Trump playing the flute. Trump playing the flute. Come on.
I was forced to the ground. first on my knees, and then flat on my chest. And as I was handcuffed and marched down a hallway, repeatedly asking, why am I being detained?
Oh my God, I cried. Look at that, the comments right here. Linda Carter says Trump got shot in the head and he didn't cry. Come on, man. It's just stop, man. Stop. Try it another way. It ain't working. Crying every show you go to, you keep crying. It's not working. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for listening, for watching to Veteran Uncensored. This is Chris Rodriguez, host of the show. Don't forget, brand new channel, growing up rather quickly, to be fair. So please hit the like button, subscribe, and comment. It'll be interesting to get your opinions on all these videos. We got a lot of videos coming, a lot of videos being uploaded, so check them out. And I will see you all on the next one, folks. Take care. Bye-bye. See you later.